Eat what?
Eat us.
Hello survivors and welcome to Survivor's Guild, the only channel that determines your odds of surviving 2003's Jeepers Creepers 2, so stay tuned till the end for your survival stats. I'm your sharp-dressed slasher turned horror host GhostFake, and today we are taking a look at 2003's sequel to Jeepers Creepers that's also a sequel to Jeepers Creepers 3, Jeepers Creepers 2, because numbers ultimately have no meaning whatsoever. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Zach Headhead. I wanted to share my experiences as a psychopathic murderer, so I started a YouTube channel where I provide the tips of the trade, slash the secrets, break down the work of notable killers, and give you an insight into my life.
Make sure to like and subscribe, or I'll rip your face off.
But first, go ahead and stick a pipe into that thumbs up button, and then lick that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And then hit that share button to remind everyone of the better ending to this series, because you know that a good trilogy always is best when it ends at number 2. And go ahead and check out patreon.com/survivorsguild. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to exclusive content and help make Survivor's Guild a full-time gig. So if $1 falling out of your pocket over the course of a month wouldn't bother you at all, consider becoming a survivor at patreon.com/survivorsguild, like Zach Headhead did, as well as Chris Rogers. Thank you guys so much. And we are currently making our way through the horror anthology series VHS segment by segment. So at this point there should already be 2 segments up for patrons. Now I hope you like a Jeepers Creepers movie that goes light on the Jeepers but heavy on the Creeper. Seriously guys, this sequel should not be allowed within 500 yards of a school or daycare, because this movie is getting spoiled. Jeepers Creepers 2, written and directed by a complete monster, and starring Ray Wise, Jonathan Breck, Garikayi Mutambirwa, Eric Nenninger, Nicki Aycox, Travis Schiffner, and Billy Aaron Brown. Jeepers Creepers 2 is about the continued terror that the Creeper has wrought, and a busload of high schoolers on their way home that get stranded when the Creeper pops their tires. We open up to the Taggart family farm on the 22nd day, where we meet Jack, the father, and his first son, Jack Jr., and his other son, Billy. Can you guess who's the favorite? Billy is working on fortifying the scarecrows when he notices that one's a snare crow.
What good they're doing.
And it's setting off the dog alarm. Billy notices the snare crow when it moves and decides to get a closer look. Billy notices the Creeper's nasty feet and takes off towards the house. Friendly reminder to those of us who have nasty feet. It doesn't make you a monster, it just makes you gross, that's all. Before Billy can get out of the corn, the Creeper dive bombs him. And while Jack and Jr. run through the cornfield to get Billy, the Creeper drags him through the field before flying off with him into the sunset and the meat bank at deposit number 328. Cut to the next day, and this school bus filled with a high school basketball team and their cheerleaders who are on their way home after winning the state basketball championship. And we get introduced to Minxie, Chelsea, and Rhonda, as well as Scotty, Rhonda's boyfriend. But the character introductions get interrupted when one of their tires explode. Just kidding, we get even more characters when this happens. We then get introduced to the bus driver Betty and the coaches, Coach Charlie and Coach Dwayne, who find out what's the problem with their tire. Oh, well there's your problem right there. You got one of them homemade shurikens stuck right in the wall of your tire. And while those three mull over what to do, we get introduced to more characters like DeAndre and Izzy, and the kids hear over the radio all about the Corpse Cathedral 1.0 that the Creeper tried to burn down.
Excavating the charred ruins say the body count is now up well past 300.
And never once do they refer to it as a house of pain, because that's stupid. Cut over to the Taggarts, who have found one of the Creeper's weapons in their cornfield, which seems to want to return to the Creeper. So they decide to make a weapon out of it. Cut back over to the bus, where Betty is trying to radio for a tow but can't get any response. And Coach Dwayne lets us know that we are in a horror movie.
We gotta be in some kind of sunspot or something. There's no signal getting out.
And we get introduced to Jake and Bucky, the team manager. The bus driver lets us know that with 5 tires on the ground, they can limp home if they take it real slow, and everyone loads back into the bus. Later, as the bus is limping home, Rhonda talks to Scotty about what's eating him. And while most of the bus sleeps, Minxie gets visited by the ghost of movies past and movies present, when she sees Derry maybe warning them to turn around? Or that Creeper is in the corn? I don't know, and he's not making it terribly clear. She also sees Billy, who seems to be saying the same thing, and then she sees the creeper, who throws one of his patented homemade shurikens. Oh man, he could make a killing selling those things. But I guess he could also make a killing throwing those things. And never mind the killing that it takes to make them. Anyway, flashback to the real world where the bus has another blowout, this time crippling them. The bus driver lets them know that they need to put out the flares and get everyone off the bus in case someone going 90 on the East 9 plows into the bus. Coach Charlie flags some passers-by, and they agree to notify the first highway patrol they see. Bus driver Betty finds another shuriken in the tire and asks us a question.
Oh, God. Don't tell me that's a belly button in the middle of that thing.
Oh, I'd recognize that belly button anywhere. That's Derry's belly button. The bus driver tells Coach Dwayne that everyone should get back on the bus when all of a sudden the creeper takes off with Coach Charlie, taking him off into the meat bank at deposit number 329. Everyone loads back onto the bus while Betty places more flares before she gets placed in the meat bank at deposit number 330. Coach Dwayne tries to keep everyone calm but does a piss poor job of it when he gets grabbed by the creeper.
Go sit down.
And refuses to let go of the bus. But eventually Coach Dwayne lets go of life and lands into our meat bank at deposit number 331. Oh, hey Scotty, you got something on your face there. You got it. Yeah, you got it. And the high schoolers huddle together and get ready for a long night. Cut over to the Taggarts, where Jack is listening to the police scanner when he hears of 2 abductions in Kissel County, which we have to include as meat bank deposits number 332 and 333, since there is no way that the ones that we've seen so far have been reported. Back on the bus, the students find javelins and arm themselves with them, but Scotty wants to take the chance and run through the corn to an assumed nearby farm. Scotty and Izzy get into an altercation because of, well, homophobia. And then Scotty and DeAndre get into an altercation because of, well, racism. And while Scotty makes himself the least likable character, Minxie notices the most likable character killing time outside the bus. What follows is the strangest behavior of the creeper as he separates what he wants from what he doesn't want, but in a nearly comical way, sniffing, winking, smiling, and licking his way through the marks before dry humping the bus. Minxie faints and has another premonition, kind of. But this one is visions of the past, so it's virtually useless, and things are moving backwards in it, so it's definitely useless. She sees the Taggart farm from the day before, and she also sees Derry, who is talking all sorts of gibberish before saying something that makes sense.
Every 23rd spring for 23 days it gets to eat.
Eat what?
Eat us.
Before getting jump scared to reality, where she tells everyone about the creeper and how he was picking people out based on what he could smell in their fear, and that a dead boy told her that. Minxie, that's not very convincing. She tells them that it will hunt down the ones that it picks out without stopping. Well, aside from that whole 23-year thing, cut over to Jack and Jack Jr., who are out looking for vengeance when they find a vehicle that belonged to those 2 passers-by that were going to send help, all opened up like a can of sardines, canning them into the meat bank at deposits number 334 and 335. But while Jack is investigating the wreck, Jack Jr. hears chatter over the CB radio. Bucky from the bus explains what's happened to them, and Jack lets him know that he's going to have to drive a while, so it will be a bit before they get there. The Taggarts begin their trek to the bus, and while the high schoolers celebrate, the creeper shows back up. The creeper punches through the roof of the bus and grabs Bucky. Izzy and DeAndre hold on to him, while Rhonda runs over with a javelin and stabs it into the creeper's shoulder. But he doesn't release Bucky. She takes another stab at it, this time getting him right through the head, and he drops Bucky. The creeper pulls out the javelin the hard way, ripping off a large chunk of his head in the process, before flying away. A little bit later, the students hear the faint sound of something falling, and the creeper crashes onto the top of the bus. The group decides that now is the time to try to escape, but all of the doors are jammed. The creeper's wing comes down into the bus, and some of the students have to make their way past it, but the wing closes around Dante and lifts him up, but eventually it puts him back down. But Dante won't go down without a fight, and Dante fights his way into the meat bank at deposit number 336. The creeper eats Dante's head, and in a pretty fun practical effect, tears off its own head and grows a new one, which, if I'm going to be honest, is probably one of the best scenes in the whole franchise. Once the creeper is done growing its new head, it takes off again, leaving the teens to decide what their next plan of action will be, with Scotty advocating for them fleeing the bus. Scotty finds another way to make people hate him by mentioning that there are 2 types of people on this bus, the will be eaten and the won't be eaten, bringing up how the creeper marked certain people and only has till morning to get them, before finally just suggesting that they kick the marked ones off the bus, and DeAndre tells Scotty that he is a marked one too, and they all know it. The students decide to take their chances heading to the farm, with almost all of the students leaving the bus, leaving Johnny and Chelsea the only ones on the bus. But their outing is short-lived when they see the creeper flying in the sky, and when they retreat back to the bus, Johnny won't let them in, and when the creeper swoops down, the students run into the field. The creeper throws one of his patented homemade shurikens that he sells on Etsy, headshotting Jake into the meat bank at deposit number 337. He then throws one of his daggers, also sold on his Etsy shop, pinning Scotty to a tree. Izzy, Rhonda, and DeAndre try to help him get loose, but just when they have pulled the dagger from the tree, the creeper swoops down and swoops Scotty out of the movie and right into our meat bank at deposit number 338. And DeAndre gets crowned king. Right? That's how the sword and the stone worked, right? Just then, the Taggarts roll up on Minxie, who lets them know that there is no point in fighting and that all of their efforts are futile because they'll never be able to kill it.
It'll be back.
Well, damn, Minxie, not with that attitude you won't. Cut back over to the bus where Johnny and Chelsea are hiding, and Bucky shows back up. The creeper also shows back up in an attempt to retrieve Bucky, but he gets distracted when the Taggarts show up. Jack Sr. shoots his homemade industrial-strength spear gun at the creeper, which the creeper then uses against them, eventually throwing the spear into the truck. Jack Sr. then reloads his spear tosser and shoots the spear through the bus and right through the creeper. But when the creeper takes off yet again, the line flips the bus before cutting through it, before flipping the truck. Cut over to Izzy, DeAndre, and Rhonda, who find the truck that passed them earlier in the day, which means that the bug truck guy is definitely in our meat bank now, at deposit number 339. They jump in the truck when they can hear the creeper wail, and they take off down the road. Izzy takes them off-road and kicks Rhonda out, and with the creeper closing in on DeAndre, Izzy slams on the brakes, sending the creeper through the cab, DeAndre into the air, and the truck rolling the hard way. Was that the plan? What just happened here? And while Izzy climbs out of the truck, DeAndre comes to a little ways away with a messed up leg. The truck bursts into flames, waking the creeper back up, who has some problems of his own, having been mangled in the wreck, missing an arm, a leg, and a wing. And in one of the funniest parts of the movie, the creeper throws his mangled body through the air towards DeAndre. He's damn persistent, that's for sure. Maybe the creeper can go on to have a lucrative career as a motivational speaker. He could write a book called How to Beat What Be Eating You, and probably make a fortune. When the creeper leaps onto DeAndre fights to keep the creeper from be-eating him. And just before he does, the Taggarts show up in their truck that definitely couldn't have drove here, and send one of their spears into the creeper's head. Jack Sr. stabs the creeper repeatedly like he killed his son or something, but before he can complete the deposit, the creeper goes into sleep mode. And Minxie lets us know that it's not dead yet. Its time just ran out. Cut to the Taggart farm sometime in the future, approximately 23 years to be exact. And these three cardboard cutouts pull up and want to see the cool corpse that they have on display. They pay the fee and head into the barn where the creeper's hibernating body is hung up on the wall, with Jack Sr. sitting by with his spear gun aimed right at the creeper. They ask him how he killed it, and he tells them about his homemade harpoon. They ask if he's waiting for something, and he says,
"About 3 more days. Give or take a day or 2.
And we take one last look at the creeper, and the movie ends. So now, to find out, what are your chances of suffering survivor's guilt? This is where we take a look at our main characters and the death that surrounds them to determine your odds of surviving this movie.
Today's survival stats are brought to you by Sackhead Ed, so if you haven't seen his channel yet, go check it out and some of the great content that he is creating.
We start off our meat bank deposits with Billy quitting the farm life at deposit number 328. We then get Coach Charlie quitting coaching at deposit number 329, and then Betty quitting road flares at deposit number 330, and Coach Dwayne quitting holding on to the bus at deposit number 331. We then hear about 2 more abductions over the radio at deposits number 332 and 333, and then those 2 people failing to notify the highway patrol at deposits number 334 and 335. We then get Dante fighting to get into Club Meat Bank at deposit number 336. Jake, PG-13 head traumaing into deposit number 337. Scotty survives long enough to see himself become the villain at deposit number 338. And wrapping up our meat bank deposits, we've got Bug Truck Guy landing into our meat bank at deposit number 339. Now let's take a look at our survivors. We've got Trish, Giselle, Sergeant Tubbs, Addison, Buddy, Galen, Jack, Jack Jr., Minxie, DeAndre, Izzy, Rhonda, Chelsea, Bucky, and Johnny, which means that out of a total of 354 characters, only 15 survive, giving you a 4.23% chance of surviving this series. Given those odds, how would the Creeper's new book, How to Beat What Be Eating You, change your life? Let me know in the comments below. And if this is your first time on my channel, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Also, check out patreon.com/survivorsguild and consider becoming a patron for only $1 a month to get some exclusive content. Also, thank you guys so much for checking out my videos and the awesome comments that you've been leaving. I try my best to respond to every single comment, or at the very least like and heart it. So rest assured that if I didn't do those things, it's because I wasn't notified. And I love interacting with you guys in the comments. I seriously appreciate your guys' time and that you put into my channel. And thank you all for being a part of this. I really appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough. Alright guys, as always, thanks, and don't die.